And we are live. What's up, metalheads? Welcome back to Full Metal 5. Same bat time, different bat channel for reasons I'm not going to get into right now. But anyways, we're here. We're still here. We're still ready, and we're still going to bring you an awesome show. We got all the crap out of the way earlier today, and right now we are going to discuss the best third installments in movie franchise history. And I have a stacked panel with me right now. First of all, making his Full Metal 5 return. He hasn't been here for a while, but he's back right now. We have our head question writer, Jeremy the Adam Adams. Jeremy, what's up, man?
Yeah, it has been a while. I'm really excited to be back. This is a surprisingly awesome topic. I've got a lot of movies that I could put in here. You don't think of it offhand, but, there's some great movies here.
Like we could do a top 10 on just this topic.
Absolutely.
All right. Also, regular on this show, he is Robert Parker. Robert, what's up, buddy?
I'm great. I'm really excited to jump into this. Like Jeremy, I have a list of probably 20 plus movies that I'm like, man, that'd be cool if that got on the list. So it's going to be tough to narrow them down, but I'm ready to get into it.
Yep.
Right on. Also here, he had a, we'll call it less than stellar, not debut, but less than stellar appearance the last time he was on this show, but he's back again. It's Ryan Permisson. Ryan, what's up?
Oh boy, we had to go down memory lane, didn't we? Anyway, I'm doing well, gentlemen, and for those of you watching this, thank you so much for having me. I'm more than happy to jump into any kind of movie debate or movie list or movie discussion. So thank you very much for having me. Let's have some fun tonight and try to be civil.
Yep.
Cool. And finally, he is our resident newbie on the panel. This has been a long time coming, but we finally got him on the show. It is Paul Oyama. Paul, what's up, man?
Yeah, how's it going? I had to break out my Surface Pro that I haven't used in 3 months so that my webcam could actually work. And if my shirt's soaked, I just watched Grave of the Fireflies like an hour ago, so that was a tough watch. But I'm ready to get into this. I'm ready to shoot down some very popular picks. So I'm excited.
Those are fighting words.
All right. So the way the show works is we curate a top 5 list right here in front of you, lovely people. How this works? We go in 3 different selection processes. The first selection process is the nominations period. What we're each going to do, we're going to go around and nominate different movies until that we have a top 7. In order for a movie to make a top 7, it has to get 3/5 majority votes. So in addition to the person who nominated it, 2 people have to give it a yes. So I will start off this nomination period, and I think we already said there are so many great third installments we can bring up. Now, there are 2 directions I think people think I'm going to go. I know Robert he thinks where I'm going to go first. But I'm going to shock some people and go from, well, not really shock some people. I'm going to pick a entry in a franchise, a long-standing franchise that I am a huge fan of. Oh, and my first nomination is going to Goldfinger, which is the 3rd James Bond movie. This is, I think, the epitome of what great James Bond movies can be. I mean, you have Sean Connery, the greatest Bond of all time. You got a great villain in Ira Goldfinger. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. This is the first appearance of the Aston Martin. This is the first use of the Martini line. You got his great odd job sidekick. He doesn't even say a word. He's amazing. You have arguably the best James Bond theme song of all time with Goldfinger. Like, so many things in this movie just work. It's a great spy thriller. It's from 1960 something. Jeremy can fact check me on that, but it still holds up.
64.
I was going to say 64, but I wasn't confident. But what was I saying? Yeah, and also the most iconic Bond girl of all time, the name that's very fun to say, Pussy Galore, is in this movie. So my first nomination is going to one of my favorite James Bond movies of all time, Goldfinger. I will go to Jeremy first. Jeremy, does Goldfinger make top 7?
Why, yes, it does. It's a great movie. One of the iconic, defining movies of the franchise, and what is it, 50 whatever years later, it's still a lot of fun. It still holds up, and it's goofy, but in a really exciting, entertaining way. I love this film and would absolutely be on my list.
All right, now we're gonna go to, does Goldfinger make top 7?
I'm gonna go with a hard no on this one. I'm
figured.
not really a fan of generally most of the Connery Bonds. I think that he's really good in it, but I think that the movie surrounding him is not very good. I think the direction is really lazy, and I'm really not a fan of the dialogue. And I just don't have it. I don't have any attachment to it. I didn't grow up watching this, so it's really something that I saw as a semi, I guess now adult, but it's something that never really grabbed me. And yeah, might not be a popular opinion, but that's going to be a big no for me.
Nah, that's fair. I mean, those early Bonds are sometimes hard to get into. Let's go to Ryan next. Ryan, Goldfinger, does it make top 7?
Well, for someone who is a James Bond fan, for someone who does appreciate what Sean Connery did for the role and what he did to start this whole franchise off, and I've seen Goldfinger a few times now. I've had more of a chance to sit back and, think about it a little more. I think it's a fine Bond movie. It's good. It's fine if you're looking for something to get into or to watch, but for me, it's going to be a no, because I feel like the third installment of other parts of the James Bond franchise are far superior to this one, at least in my eyes. So for Goldfinger, as much as I respect what it did for the franchise, as much as I like the theme song and a few of the characters' names here and there, I'm going to have to say
you
no.
can say it. I already did.
I'm going to have to say I'm going to have to say no for Goldfinger.
All right. Robert, comes down to you, buddy. Does Goldfinger make top 7?
This is interesting that it came down to me, because I'm with Ryan. As much as I really respect what it did for the Bond franchise, and while I do think it's probably the best Connery Bond movie, I think there's, in my opinion, probably 10 other third installments in franchises that are better than this one. So I think there's just other stuff that I personally want to get onto this list. So I'm gonna have to say no to that.
Wow. Mark it down, folks. This is the second week in a row in which the very first nomination does not make the list.
From Love is better.
We'll get to pop.
Shoot or shoot, you know what I mean?
Debatable. So get some popcorn, get a drink. We're in for the long haul, folks. So, you know what? Since he decided to vote last time, I'm going to go to him first. Roberts, gush about Return of the King.
Oh.
All right. Well, I mean, Chad spoiled it, but of course I'm going Return of the King.
Shocker.
What else were you going to pick?
Oh, guys.
Shocked. I am shocked that Middle Earth is being brought up in this conversation.
All right, guys, let's listen real quick as I go on.
What's your nickname again? What's your nickname?
Oh, yeah, they call me the Hobbit. So,
Not Return of the Hobbit or anything.
This is not Battle of the Five Armies.
Yeah. So, Return of the King is not only the best third installment in a film franchise ever, it's the best. It's one of the best movies ever. It's in one of the best trilogies ever. It takes the fantasy genre and flips it on its head, taking itself so seriously, taking all of its characters seriously, taking the plot seriously, taking fantasy elements and presenting it to you like a documentary. It's like you're watching history unfold on screen. You are transported to this world. It's beautiful storytelling and world building, initially done by J.R.R. Tolkien, adapted by Peter Jackson and the rest of the screenwriters. It has some of the best action sequences in film history. It has some of the best practical effects, some of the best visual effects, groundbreaking motion capture. There's a reason that this is tied with the most Oscar wins in history, and there's a reason this has the biggest Oscar sweep in history. This is undoubtedly one of the best third installments in film history.
All right, so Lord of the Rings, Return of the King is on the table, and I'm going to go first because I want to be the one to crush Robert's dreams. No, I'm kidding. Of course it gets a yes. I mean, I love Lord of the Rings. Come on.
Oh, where's the entertainment, man?
Right? Well,
we can be civil sometimes.
I think Robert hit it over the head a lot. Like when you have a movie that's as good as Return of the King and as revered as for Return of the King. I mean, personally, it's not. I do think it's not my favorite of the Lord of the Rings movies, but I still think it's a phenomenal film, a great end to a great trilogy, despite the 16 endings that it has towards the end. But that doesn't bring the movie down enough. You're right. As the Best Picture winner, it is tied for the most Oscar wins in history. I think putting this on the list is a no-brainer. I'm going to go to Paul next. Paul, the Return of the King, make top 7.
Well, interesting. Robert said something that caught my attention. He said it's like watching history. And I was nearly as bored as I was in history class in high school watching this movie.
Oh!
I'm kidding. But I think it's still going to be a no for me. It's going to pass anyway, for one thing.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's never really grabbed me the way that I'm sure it's grabbed everyone else on the panel, on the planet, what have you. I think that mechanically it's near perfect. I think that almost every facet of the movie is done about as well as you can do it. But to me, it just doesn't connect. I generally don't like fantasy movies all that much, so I think that might be partially why. But it's really just something that I feel like I feel like there's almost too much going on, and I know that's part of the story, and the battles are balanced very well, but I just think it's never really grabbed me the way that a lot of other installments in franchises have as well. And yeah, the Two Towers is my personal favorite, but yeah, I mean, it's going to get voted on, but I'm going to give it a soft no.
Okay, fair enough. First of all, Robert, I got to say, I watched Fellowship of the Ring the other day. I'm still waiting for my frame by frame,
I'll do it. If you want me to, I will do it. I will do my own commentary. I'll record my own commentary of this film.
I'll call you after the show. But
right.
Jeremy, Return of the King, does it make top 7?
I don't think Robert and I have ever actually talked about this, but Robert, I love Lord of the Rings. Those movies changed my life. I saw each of those probably 4 times in the theater, I think, at the time. And I actually, as much as people talk about these movies being overlong, I actually even prefer the extended version. It's great with the Saruman scene and everything. So, love this film. Yeah. And it's in my top 3. Spoilers.
I thought that was going a different direction.
Spoilers.
Yeah, let me not my favorite of the Rings movies, but of Lord of the Rings movies, but it is my favorite of the extended cuts.
But they're all three are so great in different ways, though. It's hard for me to choose.
Different. That's totally. The best part of it. It's the best part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's it. Return of the King is the first movie on the top 7. Ryan, what would you have said?
I think you know what I would have said. Look, it's been a hot minute, maybe a little bit more than a minute, folks, that I've seen Two Towers and Return of the King. It's been a long time since I've sat down and watched those 2 awesome-tacular films. So, unfortunately, I would have said no just because it's been too long since I've seen the film to actually say, does this belong in the top 3? Does it belong in the top 5 trilogies of all time? Blah, 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 blah. So for me, it would have been a no, respectfully. But I'm going to go back. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch Two Towers, Return of the King, and see what the majesty of these films are.
I will say, just as a quick aside, I know Robert mentioned the Oscar thing. I think that we all know that certainly the film's impressive, but that's kind of like Oscars for the whole entire franchise and rewarding all the work that's gone into all 3 films.
Fair enough.
No, that's exactly why it won. But yeah, I don't that's exactly why it won. But still.
But that's not to say that I don't think Fellowship and Two Towers both should have won Best Picture.
Yeah. Fellowship.
All right. Well,
over the 2 they were against, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful Mind in Chicago. Come on.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Paul, it's up. I'm really curious. So you're next, buddy. What do you want to throw up for top 7?
Okay, so I'm more than willing to audible on this, but I'm going to stretch the definition of the 3rd installment in a franchise by quite a bit here. Stop me if this is too far.
Oh, he will.
Just tell me the pick.
So this is not something that's necessarily named as a direct franchise or series, but my pick is Wind River.
Oh, I see where you're going.
Is that too much?
I see where you're going. I see where you're going.
Do we know? I mean, do we know that those 3 movies are in the same universe? Is there anything specifically said in the movies?
Well, the writer said it's part of a trilogy for him, but I can pick something else if you guys want.
Yeah, if there was something in the actual text.
Okay, that's no problem.
It's a great movie, but I'm gonna ask you.
I have plenty of backups.
Love Wind River.
I mean, if we were accepting that logic, I would have like 30 more picks.
You would have like 50, Jeremy.
Yeah, I know.
You've seen all of them when they first came out 40 years ago. So.
All right, so then I'm going to go with something that I think doesn't really get talked about a ton as far as 3rd installments go. I think that the franchise has kind of tailed off a little bit since this movie came out, but I'm going to say The Bourne Ultimatum. I think it's one of the most visceral action movies that I've ever seen. I think that Matt Damon is absolutely fantastic. The supporting cast is great. The set pieces are incredibly impressive. It's so fast-paced, but everything, like, you still know what's going on. Like, Paul Greengrass is just incredible direction in this, and I just think that it's one of the most, visceral, enjoying action movies that I've seen in a long time, and it's one of my favorite action movies, period. So The Bourne Ultimatum is my pick.
All right, so The Bourne Ultimatum is on the table. I counted last time, so I'm going to go to you first. Does Bourne Ultimatum make top 7?
I need to it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. I need to sit down and rewatch the Bourne trilogy because for me, I like the first one a lot, and then 2 and 3 they improved on its predecessors, but they're good. They're really good, but they're not up, at least in my eyes, they're not up to the level of greatness. I wouldn't put them on the Mount Rushmore of trilogies, for me anyway. So for Bourne Ultimatum, as much as I like Matt Damon, I had to work it in there, guys. I had to work it in somewhere. I love it. I love it. For Bourne Ultimatum, with all due respect, Matt Damon, for me, it's going to be a no.
Oof.
Okay.
I don't like where this is going.
For Ryan. Let's go to Robert next. Robert, does the Bourne Ultimatum make top 7?
It's interesting because it was in my top 10. It was one of the first 10 that I thought of when I was thinking of this list. And I do like Bourne Ultimatum a lot. I mean, Legacy and Jason Bourne are a different story. In my opinion, Supremacy is the best Bourne movie. I know that I'm in the minority there, but I love Supremacy.
Supremacy's great.
So in my opinion, I mean, Identity is fantastic. Supremacy is even better. And Ultimatum tails off just a little bit from Supremacy for me.
Oh.
That being said, I am still going to give it a yes because I do think it deserves a spot in the top 7. But I think this movie's going to be worried about getting into our top 5.
Okay. I'm going to go to Jeremy next. Jeremy, does the Bourne Ultimatum make top 7?
Great movie. I love it. It's one of the first ones I thought of, but when I was going through everything and looking at all the different movies, it didn't make my top 10. So I'm really sorry. I have to say no, just because I have other movies. But there are a lot of great ones. What can I say? A lot of great ones we could pick, and this is definitely one of them.
I really thought it wouldn't come to me. I need to stop doing it like that. Okay, let me just say I'm a big fan. Yeah, like Paul, I'm a sucker for a well-honed action thriller. And also, like I think like the biggest problem with the Bourne movies is they kind of blend together. Like they had to do a lot to stand out, and Bourne Ultimatum, I do love it, and I do love that entire trilogy. It's probably the hardest decision of the night. I'm gonna
just say it. Say it.
Yeah, I'm gonna slightly edge towards no. Sorry, Paul.
God damn it.
If we were doing top 10, I think I would have made it with a bullet. But
we're all gonna shed blood tonight. Don't worry.
Oh yeah,
you won't.
There's gonna be blood everywhere on the interwebs.
Oh, it's true.
By the end of the show, we're all gonna hate each other. So I may as well keep going. Go to Jeremy next. Jeremy.
All right, well, I want to continue this, and my first pick is one that I'm sure will not make the list.
Oh,
but
really?
God damn it, I love the movie, and I'm going to talk about it. It's considered a trilogy. Everyone calls it a trilogy. It's technically borderline, but it's on a lot of on lists.
I know where you're going.
And it happens to be in my top 10 films of all time. It's my favorite Western. It's probably my favorite action movie.
Oh.
It's just one of my favorite movies on many different ways, and that is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which is the third film in Sergio Leone's Dollar Trilogy. Now, if you do think about it, it is a great third film in the sense that these movies took Clint Eastwood as this no-name, desperado in the Old West. And you actually, if you watch these 3 movies, you see different facets to his character, to who he is in each of these 3 films. In the first one, he's just this badass, basically, and he's just kind of looking out for number 1. But in this movie, he's still that character, but you start to see humanity in him. There's a great scene where he comforts a dying soldier. And this movie, to me, it's so great on so many levels. It's funny. It's badass. It's got epic Civil War scenes. It's so amazing. The music, it's one of my top 5 music scores of all time. It's just a great film. Eli Wallach as Tuco gives one of my favorite performances of all time. He's just a genius. And then I also wanted to say that it's a very influential movie, and if you watch Quentin Tarantino's *Inglourious Bastards*, the farmhouse opening scene that everyone loves, one of the great scenes ever, is actually directly lifted from *The Good, Bad, and the Ugly*. It's a scene that the villain Angel Eyes has early in the movie, so it's just a great film. And I know it's a little iffy in terms of being the third in a trilogy, but for me, I gotta talk about it. So that's my pick.
I'd say it's definitely a trilogy.
Yeah.
It's the prequel.
Well,
it was the 3rd one released, but it's a prequel.
I mean, it's definitely a trilogy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go first, and you said no one's gonna vote for your pick, Jeremy. I'm actually gonna give it a yes. Like, I love The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. It's one of my favorite westerns of all time.
Are you the only one? Is the question.
Yeah, right. One of my favorite quotes from Clint Eastwood ever is at the end we're talking to Eli Wall.
Oh yeah, I know where you're going.
The two guys men in this world. Those with a loaded gun and those who dig. I'm like, that's just the Man with No Name is one of the most badass characters in film history. And
there's a lot of great lines.
Yeah, so many great lines, such great like Western style action. Possibly the crowning achievement of Sergio Leone's career.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a yes. Contrary to your belief. All right. Robert, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Does it get a yes?
Jeremy was singing his praises before about all the great things, the great characters, the great scene with the villain that *Inglourious Bastards* really takes a lot of influence from. He was talking about the score, great Ennio Morricone score, one of the greatest film composers of all time. And Jeremy, yeah, I'm with you.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Can't believe it.
It's one of the best. It was in my top 7. It was definitely my top 7 when I was compiling my list. So yes, Good, the Bad, the Ugly, that gets on.
Wow, I'll be happy for the rest of the night.
All right. So, despite what Jeremy believes, The Good, and the Bad, and the Ugly made top 7. Paul, Ryan, your votes didn't count. So, Paul, what would you have said about The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
See, I have a problem. I'm torn on this. So, I think that it's a very well-made film, and the trilogy as a whole is like very good. But to me, to start, the trilogy is really based very heavily on Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo, which is one of my favorite films of all time.
And I think
the
first movie, yeah.
Yeah, well, like the character
yeah.
of the nameless, the man with no name. I just think that it takes that idea and twists it in a way that I don't quite like. The direction that his character goes in and the way that his backstory is approached, I think is something that I'm not really super down with. I probably would have said no. My favorite Sergio Leone movie is probably Once Upon a Time in America.
Really? Oh, that's a great movie. Great movie.
But it probably would have been a no for me. As impressive as a lot of the elements are, especially is particularly Eli Wallach. I think Lee Van Cleef is actually kind of bad in the movie. But
I don't.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Ryan, what would you say about The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
Well, some of you may be thinking, "Oh, Ryan's never seen this. He doesn't."
I am thinking that.
We're all thinking
this guy.
You said it first.
This guy talks such a good game, but he's never seen this movie before. Yes. Yes, I have. I saw it when they re-released it in theaters for its 50th anniversary. That was the first time I ever saw this Western, and I'm so happy with the fact that I did because the score is more than phenomenal. It's beyond epic. It's something I want to hear when I walk through a door because I want to be the American badass, the man with no name, the man with the hat, all of it. Clint Eastwood killed it in this movie. However, there are some third films that I just feel are a tad above, just a tad above the Man with No Name trilogy or the Dollars trilogy, as it's called on the interwebs. So I would have said no, but believe me when I say it's a really good movie, but probably wouldn't put it in the top 7 or top 5 or anything like that. But it would be in like the top 10, top 15 of all time for sure. But I haven't seen the second installment yet. I haven't seen For a Few Dollars More. Don't hate me, Internet.
That's a good movie. I love that movie.
But my favorite of that 3 is Fistful of Dollars. I love Fistful of Dollars just a little bit more than Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And that's no disservice to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It's not. It's just for me, a Fistful of Dollars wasn't. It was just good. It was just my favorite of the 2 that I've seen thus far. But yeah, I would have said no. But Clint Eastwood, brother, my man, killed it in that movie. The themes are incredible. And by the way, one of my favorite things about that film is "See you soon, idiots." What? You?
It's for you.
It's for you. So I would have said respectfully, I would have said no. But don't hate me, Internet.
Well, it's on there. I don't
All
care.
right, well,
Yeah, it's on the list.
I
but
thought it was your
we're down to
opinions.
you, Ryan.
I just would have put it higher. But
what do you
yes,
wanna
I've
nominate
actually
for top
seen a Western, okay? I've seen Westerns.
Nice.
Ryan, we're up to you. What do you want to nominate for top 7?
Excuse me.
Is it a Marvel movie?
Is it a Marvel movie? Is it a
Yes, it
Marvel?
is.
No. No, it's
Oh,
not.
Really?
It's a DC movie.
Wow.
Why do you people think so little of me? My gosh.
Have you seen
Anyway,
the 2017
you're-
episode?
Whatever, Russ.
You make it too
whatever.
easy.
Anyway, I'm going to throw a film that may surprise a few people, maybe not. It probably won't surprise anybody, but I'm actually going to go with something of a trilogy that's been around for 40 years.
Ice Age 3.
It started in the 70s. I'm going to go with Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Because of the original trilogy, that is my favorite installment for a lot of reasons. One,
Whoa.
it was the conclusion of a heck of a story. Two, it had a great lightsaber duel at the end with father versus son, and son trying to bring father back from the brink of "you're lost forever" or what have you, being redeemed, if you will. And the battle on the Force Moon of Endor. And then you have the space battle with Lando and all his rebels and miscreants. Good shot, Red 2. You know, all those great lines, all the awesomeness of the battle on Tatooine of saving Han and Leia and everybody. As soon as the lightsaber pops out of R2 and he gets it and the theme kicks in and the adrenaline is on, turning up to 11, it blew my mind as a kid. It still blows my mind today. So I'm going to go with Return of the Jedi from Star Wars. May the Force be with us all.
Return of the Jedi is on the table. I'm going to go to... Actually, I'm going to go to me. I'm the only outlier on this panel. When I said earlier on the show that there was one way people thought I was going to go, this was one of the way people thought I was going to go. Because like Star Wars is my favorite franchise of all time. Like I love it. I love all 3 of those movies. I think they're all great. They're all amazing. I have this on my this sits on my desk when I like do homework and stuff. Or it's like this. He's always like staring at me and giving me disapproving looks when I have to reject a Star Wars movie. Just because of that, and because I honestly do love Return of the Jedi, and I think that closed like the epitome of what like a great trilogy was for a really long time. And even nowadays, like I still regard it as one of the best trilogies of all time, if not the best. So I know I'm gonna be the one to go this way, and surprise, I'm giving Star Wars a yes.
Woo!
All right,
There you go.
all right, Robert. Return of the Jedi, does it make top 7?
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing this movie in theaters when I was a young lad. I have very fond memories.
Aren't you like 12?
No, you don't.
No, I can't.
Younger.
No, all right, sorry. I tried to pull the joke off. It didn't work.
I was going to say, don't you mean the special
this
edition?
movie came out definitely before I was born. Anyways, yes. This was in my top 7. Definitely. This also,
Wait, really?
I mean, as a surprise to some people, yeah. I love Star Wars. I love the original trilogy. I like lots about the new movies. Prequels are a different story. I like Revenge of the Sith. But Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie as well. Just similar to the reasons Ryan was saying. I love how it caps off and really gives an ending to all the characters in a really satisfying way. And not only just because I love it so much, I truly do think it is one of the best third installments made in a franchise. So it's a yes for me.
All right, well, we did it, buddy. Return of the Jedi's on the list.
Yeah, Boba Fett, where?
Do not make me change my vote. Do not make me change my vote. I don't want to think about that scene. So let's go to somebody who was around for Return of the Jedi.
Me?
Jeremy, you were what, 22 when Return of the Jedi came out?
If you must know, I was 6. No, wait, 4. I don't know why I thought 6 for a second.
So old.
If you saw our top 7 Star Wars movies, you would know this is absolutely a yes for me. This is the first Star Wars movie I saw, and I love it. It still means a lot to me. I love that movie, so yes.
Cheers to you, Jeremy.
All right,
Cheers.
wow. Unprecedented. I know what Paul's going to say, but Paul, what would you say about Return of the Jedi?
Paul's
One
the
thing
haters
I think
corner.
the most maligned thing about this movie is obviously the Ewoks. When I think the Ewoks might be one of my favorite parts of this movie, and not necessarily the characters themselves, but what they represent. I think that it's super interesting that you have the Ewoks as a small, primitive, undeveloped species that are sort of set up against this imperialistic force that is conquering their home, and I think that them fighting against that is like one of the most interesting parts of the whole Star Wars series, honestly. The way that it frames the Empire as this all-consuming force. And I think that the Luke father stuff is great. With that being said, it's just outside of my top 7, so I probably would have said a soft no.
Like I was waiting for that backhand. I knew it was coming.
Hey, the
Right.
Ewoks were good enough to be ripped off in Avatar. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and let the record show, I actually argued for Ewoks on the movie Battleground once, and I won that question surprisingly. So
Wow.
we are now back to me. We have 3 movies on our top 7, so we got to keep going. And here's the moment. Robert are on the same page right now. Here's gonna be the moment where he's gonna, angrily just walk out the show for a few minutes.
Here we go. Here it is.
Because I can't avoid it. I gotta throw Toy Story 3. Toy Story. Yeah, there goes Robert. He's walking off the show. I just got a message. He said Robert said yes to Toy Story 3. So no, Toy Story 3. I think you look at Toy Story films in general. I'm like, they don't get worse. They don't get better. They stay consistent. Toy Story 3 is like the great cap off to that trilogy because, I mean, you look at the first one. The first one is all about the idea of like selfishness and being able to like to share. It's essentially being able to share and be able to essentially share love, which is something like it's kind of like the sibling dilemma. Second one deals with the idea of immortality and like what like meaning of life and what life really means if you can't do the thing you're meant to do. And the third one tackles the idea. Third one's kind of the antithesis. Third one deals with mortality and deals with the idea of dying and having to let go of your attachments in this world. I love it. It has, I think it has like a 99 on Rotten Tomatoes, nominated for Best Picture, one Best Animal. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I could
gave it 1%
really
off.
Here lies
if
Robert
I could.
Parker.
Here lies Robert Parker. If I could talk about Toy Story 3 for the entirety of this hour,
you can't.
I could actually. Because Robert would explode. I love this. I love the movie. I watch it all the time. It resonated with me as a kid and as an adult, and it'll resonate with me for like years to come. So Toy Story 3 is my pick. And Robert, you can get pissed at me now.
All right.
Oh boy, there we go.
Just say no and we'll move on.
I've been prepping this speech for the best part of a day.
Great.
Because I knew this was coming. All right, Chance. Here's how it goes.
Yeah.
Toy Story 3 is the most overrated movie of this century. It had no place being nominated for Best Picture. You bring up all the themes of immortality or of mortality and how people could actually die. There are no stakes. There's no suspense in this movie whatsoever. The cheap emotional shots that they try to make are completely wasted. No place being nominated for Best Picture whatsoever. The villain is the complete rehash of everything they did in Toy Story 2. Most of this movie is a rehash of what they did in Toy Story 2. Toy Story 2 is a fantastic movie. This is a rehash, a cash grab. This was 12 years too late. And this tried to make people feel nostalgic. And I think people see it too much with nostalgia goggles. And that stops them from actually analyzing the film for what it is, which is not good. So
it's a yes from you, right?
It's
Okay,
no,
really?
Absolute no.
Robert, you and I could spend like I don't know. I want to know how long we could spend arguing my Toy Story 3.
Too long.
We got to show
Too long.
Too long. Movie Battleground, hit us up. We got to do that.
We'll do it.
Yeah,
we'll do it.
Got to do it.
I would love to see that.
All right, Jeremy. Toy Story 3.
Well, seeing as how I was in my 30s the first time I saw it, I don't know how I could have nostalgia goggles.
Exactly.
One of the greatest animated films ever made. Everything that you said is ridiculous about it. It took things from 2 and built on them. Lotso is a psychologically deep villain. He is very different from Sticky Pete in the exact things that he does. He's such a great villain. There's real horror in this movie. There's great humor in this movie. It's got everything that you want, and it all builds to the emotional punch of a lifetime at the end there. And as somebody, I was a teenager when I saw the first one. I was 30 when I saw this one, and to go through that span, to live through that period, and to experience that moment in a theater with my younger brother, one of the great movie-going experience of my life, and yes, it makes the list for me.
All right. Let's go to. I'm gonna go right now where he's gonna go. Paul, Toy Story 3.
So earlier, Chance, when you were talking about it, you said that Toy Story is a franchise that stays even, that stays consistent, that quality is relatively the same throughout all of the movies. And I gotta say, I really disagree.
You say,
But the reason I disagree is because I think Toy Story 2 is boring as shit. I am not a fan of Stinky Pete as a character.
Really?
I'm not engaged with the way he's approaching the situation. Toy Story 3, on the other hand, I love. It is one of my favorite Pixar movies, absolutely. I think that it earns its emotional stakes because of the way that it causes these characters' arcs to come full circle. I think at the end, I don't find that cheap at all. I think that that's years of an earned emotional payoff in the way that their story concludes with them moving on. I really just wish Toy Story 4 wasn't happening because I think this is a great capper
I'm with you there.
on these
I'm with you
characters.
on that one.
But absolutely. I think Lotso is a great display of the kind of person who puts on a good face for people, but is really sinister behind the scenes, and the way that he psychologically messes with all of the different toys and in different ways. He approaches them differently. So I think that absolutely the Toy Story 3 definitely belongs on the list.
Suck it, Robert Parker. Toy Story 3 makes top 7.
I knew it was gonna get on. I said my piece, and that's what matters. I knew it was gonna get on. I said my opinion. That's what matters.
Figured I'd get your hopes
Alright,
up with that.
well,
with the intro.
I respect your point of view on this, Robert. I'm not going to yell at you.
Yeah, no.
Oh, I know. I knew it was gonna
Hey,
happen.
we're-
I needed to say
We're all
what
friends here.
I said.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we're all friends here. All right, and Ryan, what would you have said?
Well, this may shock some people, but I actually would have said yes, 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 yes. And Robert, I love you like a brother, but everything you just said was wrong. Wrong,
Crazy.
sir. You are wrong.
I get that reference.
Because, let me give you the facts, Jack. Movies that build upon themselves and get better and better with time, that's a trilogy. Movies that improve in quality and storytelling, that's a trilogy. Movies that have great characters that you can at least some way, shape, or another relate to, that's great movie making. The emotional gut punch at the end of this movie when the torch is passed. From Andy to
Bonnie.
what's the little
Bonnie.
girl's name?
Bonnie.
Bonnie.
Bonnie, thank you.
Bonnie.
I couldn't remember it, but yes, when the torch is passed on to Bonnie and Woody says his goodbyes, if the tear works are not going on you, if you are not getting a little bit misty-eyed, teary-eyed, emotional in any way, shape, or form, you don't have a heart. You don't have a soul. You don't
So
know
Robert
what
Parker
life
doesn't
is
have
about.
a heart or a soul.
Yeah,
No,
you really don't.
he's
I'm
he's
fine
not
with that.
he's not
So-
human. He's a hobbit.
You're not.
He's
You're
a
a
hobbit.
robot from the distance.
He's a
of
hobbit.
the universe.
I'm a hobbit.
You're a Terminator or something. You're a
It's
dream
like
crusher.
got raw
robot.
on the West Farthing.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, I would have said yes, because it is truly one of the greatest cinematic achievements of all time, and it is truly one of the greatest trilogies of all time. If you could have a beginning, a middle, and an end be awesome and be great, that is a huge accomplishment within itself. So I would have said yes. So Robert, you're wrong, sir.
Wrong. Son, we live in a world that has walls, and those walls have to be guarded by men with guns. Anyways.
All right, Robert. Well, we've already said a piece. We've all got a chance to yell at you. Now you get a chance to yell at us back with your next nomination.
All right, so there's two that I'm bouncing between here. I'm gonna go for one, counting on Jeremy to hit the other one later. So
Okay.
Jeremy, don't let me down. But the one I am gonna go with is Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Ooh.
Harry Potter is one of my favorite film series of all time. It's one of my favorite book series of all time. It's my second favorite fantasy franchise of all time. I love Harry Potter. Grew up with the books. Grew up with the movies. I love this. And while Prisoner of Azkaban I don't think is my favorite Harry Potter movie, I think it's extremely influential in molding the trilogy. Or not the trilogy, excuse me. In molding the series. Sorry.
I get
No,
together with
there-
the
there-
now.
there we go.
trilogy.
Yeah. Basically, I just think Prisoner of Azkaban was extremely influential. It changed the visual tone from the first two into this third one. It changed the tone as far as just storytelling. It got a little bit more dark. It got a little bit more serious, if I may.
It got blacker.
Wizards
got a
get
little bit-
serious?
No, it's the
You got
joke.
black?
What?
What?
Anyways, so basically, yeah, I think it's extremely influential. I think it's when the characters started to grow up a little bit. I think it's when the story started to grow up a little bit and just mature as a storytelling, which I think was really impressive. And the fact that it stands alone really now as still one of the best of the franchise, I think that has something to say for the third movie of 8.
All right. Prisoner of Azkaban is on the table. I'm going to go to Ryan first, so that way, because you were tiebreaker last time. Does Prisoner of Azkaban make top 7?
I've seen all the Harry Potter films. The franchise has its legion of fans. I know a few of them. Don't ask. I don't really. Maybe if I had read the books, hypothetically, I'd be singing a different tune. But for me, it's a hard no, because for me, the first and last 2 installments of this franchise I enjoy, and the rest of the films are instantly forgettable for me. I don't care about them. I don't give a rat's behind about their accolades or the actors or the cast. I don't care. This franchise for me is so forgettable. There are a million other third installments and franchises that are far superior to this, at least in my opinion. So for Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, as well as I believe it's Alfonso Cuarón directed this.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
He did. Okay, Alfonso,
Yes.
I love you because you directed one of my favorite movies of all time, and that's called Gravity. But we'll save that for a discussion later.
Ooh.
But as far as Prisoner of Azkaban, no thanks. It's a hard no for me.
All right, we're going to me next, and like Robert Parker, I grew up watching the Harry Potter movies. I grew up reading the Harry Potter books. This is my favorite Harry Potter movie. I do think it's massively influential where it took the franchise. It's where it got dark. It's where it got more, adult oriented. This is where it started to grow up with, the people who started reading it. It has so many great additions. Like a lot of great additions to the franchise came from this movie. Like this first time we saw Gary Oldman and David Thewlis. Also, what's his name? Timothy Spall as
Michael
Peter Pettigrew.
Gambon as Dumbledore.
Michael Gambon.
Yeah.
This is the very first time we saw the new Dumbledore because, tragically Richard Harris passed away. R.I.P. buddy. But yeah, I absolutely give this. I do think it's the best Harry Potter movie, and I think everything that Harry Potter turned into, it started here, and that's all because of the direction. It's all because of Alfonso Cuarón. It's all because of the source material and all these great people behind this movie. So, I'm giving this a hard yes. Also, the first use of the Patronus charm, which I gotta give credit for that.
Also,
So,
the last
it gets a
John
yes
Williams
from
did
me.
the score for in that franchise.
That is true. That's also true. And that has the Something Wicked This Way Comes theme, which I really like.
Is that the first time we see Dementors? Or is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Dementors. So many. You see so many things starting in this movie.
So many things.
So, Paul, we're going to you next. Does Prisoner of Azkaban make top 7?
So you guys sort of touched on Alfonso Cuarón and the way he directed this movie, and I think he's the biggest reason that I'm gonna say yes, and I'm gonna say why in a little bit. So I think that this is easily the most stylishly directed Harry Potter movie. The way the camera moves is way more fluid than any of the other movies. The way that he approaches lighting and the way that he frames everything is just so different. I think it seems like the later movies were trying to emulate that, but there was just something missing. I think this is the most interesting Emma Watson has ever been as an actress. I think that this is where she gets her best material and some of her best scenes. And I just think that this is the best made Harry Potter movie in every sense. The way that the characters interact and the way that the story develops. I think that this is the most smooth, streamlined, and absolutely the best Harry Potter movie. And this definitely goes in the list.
All right. So that's it. Harry Potter Prisoner of Azkaban makes top 7. Jeremy, what would you say?
If you isolate this movie and take it out of the series and just look at it as a fantasy film, the direction, the characters, the story, the music, the visuals, everything in this movie, this is one of the great fantasy films of all time, in my opinion, and it absolutely would have made the list for me.
Yes.
All right. So Harry Potter Prisoner of Azkaban gets our 5th spot on the list.
I'm on
We
an
have
island by
2
myself.
spots left over, people. All
Ooh,
right.
we still have two.
Hey, now you know how Robert feels in Toy Story 3. So I believe we are to Paul next. Paul, your
Oof.
nomination, sir.
Okay, there are 2 that I'm really. This is tough. There are 2 that I'm really stuck between. Do I go? All right. This is another one. It's kind of a stretch, but I feel like it still fits the definition of what we're talking about here, and that's Logan.
Well, say what it is.
So
Yeah,
Logan is
that
the third
counts.
solo
It's the
Wolverine.
third solo. Yeah. Yep.
That counts.
It does count.
Yeah, well, count
I
it.
mean, we've talked to death about this movie, but I just think that the way that the story is framed is incredibly impressive. I think that the way the characters' motivations and the way that their development is shown through dialogue and through action, I think, is incredibly impressive. I think Patrick Stewart, in that scene in the hotel alone, I think is just phenomenal this a staggering performance. I think one of the best of his career. We've all sung the praises many, many times. But yeah, I think Logan deserves a spot on the list.
All right. I'm going to Jeremy first. Logan, does it make top 7?
You know what, Paul? I got to tell you something. I had another superhero movie, a third superhero movie on my list, but for whatever reason, I didn't think of Logan. I think maybe because, they are the standalone movie, it just didn't come to mind. And I'm weighing these two movies against each other. I think this is better than the other one that I had. This is a great film. It's one of the best, tremendous superhero movies ever made. It did so much for the genre. It did so much for this character and for this franchise. So I'm going to say, to my surprise, yes on Logan.
Okay. Now I'm going to go to Robert next. Robert, does top 7?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I did have it on my list when I initially thought of it because it is the third standalone Wolverine movie. I'm with Jeremy. I had 2 other comic book films on my list that I also really wanted to at least talk about, but I can bring them up in honorable mentions. Out of those 3, Logan's the one I do want on there. So I'm going to say yes.
All right. So,
man.
That closes it. Logan makes top 7. Ryan, our votes didn't count. So what would you have said about Logan?
See, this is hard for me. It really is, because I have 2 films that I want to get nominated on this thing. It's so hard because Logan is a masterpiece of a film. James Mangold is one of the best directors working today. He has made some of the best westerns, best movies, whatever you want to call them of all time.
He's done 3 movies.
I don't know what the best westerns of all time. Let's maybe
If you
pump the brakes
saw
on that a little bit.
310 to Yuma, you know what I'm talking about.
The original or the remake?
The remake, yeah.
He killed it with that. Killed it. It was so good. That movie's an underrated masterpiece. At least for him. Wow.
It's like the third best western of 07, but all right.
Something like that.
I do love that movie.
Yeah, 310 to Yuma is so good. But anyway, Logan, for me, it's so hard. So hard. I probably would have said no. These are 2 films I'm going to fight for here, so I would have said no.
Yeah, I think I'm in the same zone. I was in the same zone as Jeremy and Robert because I have one other comic book movie that I was going to try to fight for. But you know what? If we can get Logan on, I would have. I wasn't thinking that one either, but I love it. It was my second favorite movie of last year. And I would have given it a yes too.
Good
All
point.
right. I believe that brings us to
Me.
Jeremy.
It's me.
Come on, Jeremy.
All right.
You say the one I want you to say.
All right, guys.
It better not be Iron Man 3.
I think I know where you're going to go.
I hate that.
I think I know where you're
All
going
right.
to go.
Okay.
I love Iron Man 3, unabashedly.
I
Love
hate it
Shane Black.
passionately.
I love
Hate it
Iron Man 3
passionately.
too.
I mean, it's
All
a
right.
fine movie. But
That's
it's no
another.
good
That's
movie.
another. We can talk about that later.
That's another debate.
When I was a kid,
You were a kid?
everything was Star Wars. Star Wars is the greatest trilogy. Star Wars is the movie.
No
It
way.
never was. It never was for me. For
No
me,
way.
it was always the man with the hat,
Indiana
with the
Jones.
bullwhip. His name is Indiana Jones.
Oh!
Last Crusade.
Yes!
Is
I
one
thought
of
we were
the-
going Star Trek. I was going to
Dude,
lose
you
my
took one of my
mind.
picks.
Yes!
You took one of my picks.
This is the movie this is the series that changed my life. It made me love action movies, made me love action cinema, made me love Spielberg. And this movie is the most emotional of the series. The relationship between the father and the son. It builds on all the great things that we had in Raiders with the religious themes and everything. It builds on that mix. What was kind of this bigger than life kind of thing in Raiders, and makes it very personal. The search for the Grail is really the search for your own humanity, for your family, for all, what really matters to you most in life. And I'm sorry I got to do a little bit of spoiling here, but that moment at the end where he's reaching for the Grail and his dad tells him to let it go and says his name, Indiana, for the first time. This is a powerful moment in what is kind of a silly comic booky action movie, fantasy movie. It's a powerful moment, and it's something that I think about when I think about my own dad. You know, those moments in my own life that I've had, you know, when I've had to think about my relationship with him and what it means. And it's you want action, you want adventure, you want everything. You want a great Spielberg filmmaking, fun. It's all there. There's absolutely is my movie. So there you go, Last Crusade.
You took one of my picks, you
Right.
fool.
You can
Shouldn't
still
you be
say
happy
yes.
about that?
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I'm still gonna say. I'm gonna Paul first. Paul, does Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade make the top 7?
So this is tough. I love Last Crusade. It's probably my second favorite of the Indiana Jones. I think, shockingly enough, I'm a Temple of Doom guy above all else.
I love Temple of Doom. I love Temple of Doom.
But I do love the father-son relationship in this movie. The fact that he doesn't call him Indy, he doesn't call him all this other stuff. He calls him Indiana. I think that's a super important point. And I think that just the way that everything's shot is beautiful. I think that the action scenes are arguably more well constructed than either of the first two. I certainly agree about it being the most emotional. It lied just outside my personal top 7, but since a couple of my top 7 have gone off, I probably would have said yes.
Cool.
Yeah, but
So you're giving a yes. Okay. Let's go to I think I know what Robert's gonna say. So Robert, Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade.
I was either gonna say this or Prisoner of Azkaban. I went with Prisoner of Azkaban because I knew Jeremy would come in clutch. Him and I have talked about Indiana Jones before. I'm not a Temple of Doom guy. I think that movie's super sexist and I really don't like it. But love Raiders. I think Indiana Jones is the best.
It's also racist.
That's true. Exactly. I think, and it was a different cultural time, but that's the reason that I don't really like Temple of Doom.
Shocking.
But Indiana Jones is the best adventure movie ever made. Last Crusade. Last Crusade is the best adventure movie ever made. It's the best Indiana Jones movie. I think Last Crusade undoubtedly deserves a spot in the top 7.
All right. So that seals it. Ryan, once again, our voices were not heard. What would you have said?
Well, Jeremy, I can't be mad at you. I can't. I can't afford it. I don't have the money. I don't have the tokens for that. So I'm just going to say it like this. This is unabashedly one of my favorite movies ever made. It's one of my favorite adventure movies of all time. It's one of the most quotable movies of all time. It's so quotable because of Connery and Ford. From the very beginning, when he crashes through that window, he gets hit on the head with a Ming 14th Ming Dynasty. Oh, it breaks the heart. And my head. You hurt me, Dad. I never forgive myself. I mean, it is so quotable. It's so funny. 100,000%, if that's even a number. I don't think it is. I would have said yes because it's just such a great movie. It's so rewatchable. It doesn't matter what age. You could be 3, 13, 23, 103. Yeah. You're going to get so much enjoyment out of this film. It's crazy. I would have given it a 10. So I would have said yes. Thank you. Junior? Yes, sir. It is you, Junior. So good.
All right.
So good.
Well, in an unprecedented event that I didn't think was going to happen, after 2 rounds of selecting, we already have our top 7.
That's surprising. That is surprising.
I'm not. I had a feeling.
I was hoping to get 3 more in there, but
yeah.
Yeah, right. Like
there's a lot of great movies.
There's some I'm very glad did not get brought up.
Yeah.
Very glad.
I thought there was going to be
too soon. There's honorable mentions.
I had some surprises on my list too.
Before we go to honorable mentions, before we go to net round 2, I want to raise some honorable mentions. Honorable mentions for me. Some that brought up Mission Impossible 3, Captain America Civil War, Captain America Civil War, which I was debating throwing up instead of Logan. But hey, whatever, shut up. Army of Darkness, which I love.
Love it.
Even though I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's so great.
Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yes.
Rocky 3, even though I know it's not very good, but I
it's so great. It's so great.
And actually any third MCU sequel, because I also like Civil War, Ragnarok, and Iron Man 3. I love all those films. So hate me if you want to hate me.
Ragnarok's great.
I will ride for Iron Man 3.
Jeremy, any honorable mentions you want to throw out?
Who? Me? I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I got a bunch. Okay.
Yeah, you do have a bunch.
For Luca, Son of Frankenstein. This is the third Boris Karloff Frankenstein movie. Bella Lugosi.
I was going to say that.
Igor, great film. Sorry, Paul. Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock. I do have a soft spot for that movie.
Search for Entertainment should have been called.
Oh no, I love that movie. Sorry, Luca, but Nightmare on Elm Street: Dream Warriors. I love that movie too. It's a fun movie. For the art house crowd, Before Midnight. Third in the
I was going to say that.
Before Sunrise series.
I didn't think you guys would say
There you go.
And then it got brought up during the worst of list, but I don't know why, because I love it. Back to the Future Part 3.
Yes, I love that movie. How can people hate that?
I don't know.
All right. We're gonna
Man,
go
so many
to
people are
Paul
drinking
next.
Gatorade.
Paul, any honorable mentions you want to throw out there?
Cloverfield Paradox. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I haven't seen it yet. No
You had me,
spoilers.
you
No
had me.
spoilers.
But really though, one that I personally absolutely love, but I know would not in a million years even be considered, is a certain film. It's called High School Musical 3 Senior Year.
Are you
I
serious?
almost said it in the first round, but I decided not to.
I
Oh,
haven't
wow.
seen it, I haven't
That
seen
is.
it.
You're being
Shame.
serious.
I'm being dead serious. I promise. I promise. I thought about saying Skyfall as the third Daniel Craig Bond.
How about
but-
I don't know if I
Can't-
would have accepted
Yeah, I
that.
just can't accept
I mean,
that.
yeah, that's
It's a good pick. It's a good.
I would have let him do it.
You would have?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I would
really?
have gone with that. I would have gone
Well,
with
Spy Who Loved Me.
yeah.
that. Spy Who Loved Me.
It's a great movie.
uh,
Come on.
Roger Moore era sucks.
It's great.
Let's stop talking about Bond.
And Dark Knight Rises is something that I love, but I'm sure would not have gotten on
Yeah.
the list. I love
Yep.
Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
It's on my list. It's on my
Yeah.
list. Dark Knight Rises.
Bane goes out like an absolute sucker, but I love most of the movie.
I like
No.
it. I like the
Oh,
movie.
that's understatement of the fucking millennium.
I like that movie.
All right, Robert. Anything you want to throw out there before we move on?
I also have quite a few like Jeremy did, so I'm just gonna throw them out. Some of these were ones that I actually did really want to say that I think should have gotten on. Others are just ones that are like just me personally in my little corner, like, hey, I want to talk about these ones. Some of them weren't even theatrically released, so here we go. Escape from the Planet of the Apes, from the original Planet of the Apes series. I know a lot of you probably
Oh, I
haven't
forgot
seen
about
it.
War.
A lot of you
Yeah, I
probably
forgot
haven't
about
seen it.
War too. Yeah,
I forgot about War.
Oh crap! War.
One. So Escape and War of Planet of the Apes. I really like both of those
War
movies.
of the Planet of the Apes
The
is
World's
great.
End from the Cornetto trilogy, if you
Great.
really want to count that.
Love
Mhm.
Civil War, a personal favorite of mine. I hate horror movies, but for some reason I freaking love Saw 3. Pirates of the Caribbean at
Saw
World's
3?
End. A lot of people wouldn't put that on, but I would. Star Trek Search for
I live in my
Spock.
hometown and I hate it. God damn.
Spy Kids 3D is just such a guilty pleasure for me.
Yeah.
Aladdin, Prince of Thieves, and Lion King 1.5, neither theatrically released, but I love both of those
Oh.
movies. Jeremy, you're with me
Aladdin
on
and the
those, I
King
hope.
of Thieves. The King of Thieves.
The best
I-
so far
I-
song.
Yeah, I do love King of Thieves.
I do like King of Thieves a lot. That's actually on my list, Jeremy.
And then Rocky
Well,
3,
and-
Mission
and the
Impossible 3,
appendices.
and of course the appendices for the Lord of the Rings. But the one
Appendices of Lord of the Rings.
There
The
is one more.
appendices.
There is one more that I genuinely was going to throw out just to see how fast it would get shot down, and that's The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies. This is a movie that I love very much, and I think
Wow.
deserves a spot on the list. In my personal list, it would be there.
Robert, before we move on, let me just say I'm with you. I'm actually a fan of the first. I like the first 3 Pirates movies. I don't know why.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's actually
First
worse than
two. First two I can ride with. I don't know about the
I like the third one. I don't know what it is. I know it's not very good, but I like the
Dude.
movie.
Is that the one where
Ryan
he
Miller.
paints his eyelids? Is that the third movie where he paints his eyelids?
Yeah, no, that's the second one. That's the second one.
Oh, okay.
Ugh.
Ryan, anything else you want to throw out before we move on?
You asking me?
Yeah, Ryan.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Honorable mentions or movies I had on my list that didn't get on there. I had, let me see, The Fast and the Furious, Tokyo Drift, Mission Impossible 3.
Oh,
Yeah. Go on and hate me, internet.
Tokyo.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Jeremy, it gets better. You're gonna love this. D3, The Mighty Ducks.
Oh God!
Christmas Vacation.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. I don't get the hate
No,
for it. I really
no,
like it.
no. Fuck off.
Yeah.
No.
oh my god.
I don't
Dude,
hate it either.
Dude,
but-
I like it. Okay.
Is
I
Ryan on
like
the
it.
wrong video?
No,
Maybe.
I like it. Okay, it ends the trilogy. Anyway, Skyfall was on there, and then this one isn't I don't think it's canon necessarily, but it's a trilogy because they had 2 films that were sort of canon, and then one that was a reboot. Power Rangers 2017,
No,
but it probably would have been
No,
disqualified,
not
and that's
counted.
fine.
By the way, I love
Alright.
Tokyo Drift.
Yes,
Same.
yes,
Same. Bow Wow, man.
Tokyo is interesting.
yeah.
Tokyo
A grown-up, a
Drift
little
is
bit of a grown-up Bow Wow. Yeah.
That's
Cole-
either,
They took
How's
a little
it
either the
great?
best or that movie is either the best or the worst film in the franchise, depending on what you're looking for. But I can watch it. I think it's an enjoyable action movie. All right,
I'm
so
looking for Bow Wow.
just to catch,
With
just
a
to
And
whole-
Die
catch you
Hard
guys
with a
up.
Vengeance was on there too.
I think I said Die with a Vengeance. Okay,
Yeah.
so here we go. Our top 7: Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Return of the Jedi, Toy Story 3, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Logan, and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Oh, jeez.
Holy crap! What a list, guys! Am I right? Am I right?
This is the pain now because I
This
love
is
all
hard.
7.
Yeah.
Love all 7
Now,
movies so much.
here's where this is going to get hard, and this is where the show might go overboard. We now have to kick 2 of these movies off the list in order to
That's
get our
hard.
top 5.
Not a problem.
So here's how it's
I
going
know
to
which
work.
one it should be.
This is going to... Well, shut up, Robert. We're going to go... Hold on. All right. Here's how it's going to work. We're going to go around the table, and we're each going to nominate a movie, and it's the same... Reverse around round 1. If a movie gets 3/5 vote, it's off the list.
Okay.
I am not going to be the one to do this, so I'm going to have Paul start. Paul, what movie should get kicked off top 7?
Okay.
This is tough. So can you run through the 7 again?
Yeah, we got Return of the King, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Return of the Jedi, Toy Story 3, Prisoner of Azkaban, Logan, and The Last Crusade.
Okay. All right. I kind of hate to do this. I'm gonna nominate Return of the Jedi.
No!
I'm sure it probably won't get voted off the list, but I don't know. I don't know if I can handle the rest of the films on the list being voted off. And the other one that I would say is definitely not getting voted off. So
Yeah.
So Return of the Jedi is on the chopping block. Ryan, you put it on. Do you knock it off?
Dude, no, I would never kick this off. Never, ever, ever, ever would I kick this off. So it's a no for me. I do not want this off. Do I want it? Wait, no, I do not want this kicked off the list. So no.
You seem unsure.
No.
Sure?
I had to think about where we're going with this. This is something to get kicked off the list. I would
Yes.
say I would say no. I do not want this kicked off the list. I want this to stay on the list.
yep,
All right.
I figured.
I'm gonna go to Robert next. Robert, Return of the Jedi. Does it stay or does it go?
Yeah, it
Stays.
stays.
It stays.
I mean, I'm the one voting. But no, it stays. I don't know if this is necessarily like top 2 or anything like that. But as far as third films in franchises, it's in the top 5.
And Jeremy, Return of the Jedi. Does it stay or does it go?
It stays.
Okay, well that's it.
All right.
Return of the Jedi moves on. Top 5, guaranteed. All right. Ryan, your pick almost got lost to us, so I'm gonna let you. Actually, you know what? Yeah, no, I'll let you go next. What film do you think should get kicked off top 7?
Oh, get kicked off. Okay, what film should get kicked off this top 7? I'm actually going to go with Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Harry Potter is on the table to get knocked off. I believe this is Robert's pick. Robert, Harry Potter
Absolutely stays. I think
Stay.
the other 2 that should be knocked off are pretty clear to me.
Okay. We're going to me. Well, I know one of the ones you're gonna pick to get knocked off. Send with the second shit. But I'm thinking of you. I hope you think of me when you cast your next vote. And
Are you lobbying now?
I'm saying Prisoner of Azkaban stays. Let's go to Jeremy.
Don't say it, Jeremy.
I said it's one of the greatest fantasy movies of all time, and that just speaks to how good this list is because I got 5 movies ahead of it still. It goes.
Oh!
Oh shit.
Oh!
It's all on you, Paul.
So it's down
My
to
number-
Paul.
my number 6.
Prisoner of Azkaban. Does it stay or does it leave?
Oof. It stays.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Still on the list.
There's a couple
Robert.
I like a little more than it, but I'm fine with a stalemate over kicking off Prisoner of Azkaban.
Robert?
Alrighty.
You're up next.
All right. Chance, I'm thinking of you. I think
Not the right way.
no, I'm not. I appreciate the vote for Prisoner of Azkaban. I am gonna put on the board Good and Bad, the Ugly. I think it's a great movie.
Oh, wow.
It's a great third. But I don't think it's top 5.
Okay. Good and the Bad and the Ugly is on the Thank you, Robert. I'm going to Jeremy. Next, Jeremy. Good and the Bad and the Ugly. Does it stay or does it go?
Well, I said it's in my top 10 movies of all time, and I love it, and obviously I spoke passionately about it. But it is weird that you have Lee Van Cleef playing a different character in the second film. It doesn't, it's not like it's a continuing story. So just for that perfunctory reason, I'm gonna be my own worst enemy and say no. It goes.
I'm gonna go to Paul. You were deciding vote last time, so I'm gonna go to you next. The good, the bad, the ugly. Does it stay or does it go?
Bye, Sergio Leone. No, I said no to it initially, so yeah, I'm gonna go with a no this time too.
I got to talk about it. That's all I wanted.
Okay, well, you got what you wanted, and the good and the bad, and we got what we wanted. The good and the bad and the ugly is off the top 7. Ryan, what would you say?
I would have said it goes. It shouldn't be on the top 5. So I would have agreed with all of you.
Okay, cool. And I think we're all in agreement. Good and bad, the ugly, great film. Absolutely deserves to be on the top 7. Top 5. Top 5 is like a bit of a stretch, but still a great film, and nothing wrong with 7th place, especially against the fleet of competition you had.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to Jeremy next. Jeremy, what do you want to nominate for?
Well, I said that I had a superhero movie on my list, and Logan replaced it, but that superhero movie was my number 7, which would mean Logan is now my number 7, which would mean it doesn't make the list. So I'm nominating Logan.
All right. I'm going to go to me first because my vote, as of yet, my vote have not counted. This is tough because, like I did say, I do love the movie, and I have seen it a bunch, even ones in black and white, which actually on that cut also. But I digress. I think when you're looking at the third installment, closing of a trilogy, I don't think Logan's quite strong. It's a strong movie on its own, no doubt. But in the complete continuity, the only thing, looking at all the overarching, it doesn't really stand as part of a trilogy or as part like a third part of anything. Mm-hmm. So for that reason alone, I'm gonna say Logan goes. Paul, this was your pick. Does Logan stay or does it go?
Just a quick thing for honorable mentions. I forgot to mention Ocean's 13. Love that movie. But anyway,
hate that movie.
But anyway, I'm gonna
13.
Paul, you and I can argue about that in Spider-Man 3 later.
Dude, I like Ocean's 13.
Oh boy, yeah. So I nominated it, but with that being said, it stays. Come on.
Oh wow.
There's one movie I definitely don't want on this list. It's probably gonna be on, but I'm riding for Logan.
All right. Robert, Logan, does it stay or does it go?
I love Logan. I really do. And I think it's good that we had a comic book film in the top 7. But Chance, Jeremy, I'm with you both. I think that this movie doesn't necessarily, you don't see it as the third. Jeremy, you didn't even think of it initially. As much as I do love Logan, it's my second favorite film of 2017. But I don't think it's the best third installment compared to the ones we have. And as much as I want to throw Toy Story 3 out the window, I know y'all aren't going to agree with me.
I would agree with you on that.
Logan's going to go.
All right, Logan is off top 7, which means we now have our top 5, which I'll remind you guys, we have Return of the King, Return of the Jedi, Toy Story 3, Harry Potter, The Prisoner of Azkaban, and Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. I think no matter what this turns out.
Can I just say? Oh wait, I was going to say it's my top 5, but actually it isn't because the Good, Bad, and the Ugly went out. So it's almost my top 5.
It's my top 5 except for Toy Story.
Yeah.
There's
such a hater. Such a hater.
So.
Well, I think either way, no matter how this list turns out, it's gonna be pretty awesome. So so round 3 works like this. This is the voting period. What we're each going to do is a spot on the list is going to be up for voting, and we're each going to write down on our handy-dandy whiteboards or whatever the hell we have on hand what film we believe deserves to go in that spot. So, gentlemen, if you all write down what film you believe is to go what film you believe deserves to go in the number 5 spot.
Oh, right. Okay. Got it. Okay, now I can.
Robert, why are you even writing? I already know what you're doing.
Waste of time.
Robert is drinking so much haterade.
It was written when you were introducing the round.
Yeah, I already know what
Robert likes to plan things ahead of time.
All right. You know what? Since I already know what you're going to say, Robert, I'm going to go to you first. Robert.
Of course, Toy Story 3 should be number 5.
Too much haterade.
That's what I thought. And Paul.
Return of the King. What do you know?
My neck. That would have been my next pick.
All right, Jeremy.
We're certainly not on the same page here. Prisoner of Azkaban.
Jesus
God.
Christ. If we have 5 different
We all-
movies, I'm
Yeah.
done.
We have I had nothing ready for if we all picked 5 different movies. Ryan.
I actually went a different direction and said Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
There you go.
Oh.
Yeah, baby. Harry Potter
And
goes
no matter
down. He
what-
goes down.
No
That's just
matter
because we
what,
haven't seen it recently, though.
Wait.
I also
Yeah.
Ah.
gets number 5.
That's fair.
Yeah, we
Ryan.
are in agreement. The Three Musketeers. I
Oh,
love it.
yeah.
Alright. You will not know what you think deserves to go in the number 4 spot on the list.
Ooh, I already. Oh yeah, I got this. We got
I didn't see Robert writing for some reason.
Oh, I think
Yeah,
Robert
right.
already wrote down his
Weird.
list ahead of time.
Weird how, like, if something that I think should go in number 5 doesn't, I think it should still be the lowest.
I don't know if you have a thing for odd numbers or what.
That's a recurring thing.
I'm just not
When something you
serious.
don't want doesn't. When something you want doesn't make the spot you're voting for, you just keep going until it gets
Yeah,
there.
you do.
Right, baby.
It's not like I'm gonna vote for Toy Story 3 for number 5 and then say, "Oh, suddenly I think it should be at number 3, not number 4." Like,
I thought
could change
that
your mind.
was obvious. I thought that was kind of obvious, but
yeah.
All right. Well, if we're already, I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna shock the world when I say Return of the Jedi.
Oh! Oh!
I respect that
Yeah,
pick.
I know.
Throwing some shade.
Much as I love
Throwing
Star Wars,
shade.
I think it's number 4. Robert, I'm not sorry. Ryan.
Dude, I'm going with Lord of the Rings 3. Return of the King,
All right.
yo.
Robert, do I even have to ask?
Toy Story 3.
No! You're wrong.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
You guys
Wrong,
haven't seen
wrong.
Return of the King in 15 years.
Whatever.
Return of the King.
Yeah,
Return
Paul.
of
Yeah,
the King.
Paul.
Okay, hold on. Jeremy can still save you. Jeremy, what did you put down?
I put Return of the Toy Box.
Yeah!
No!
Stop talking about
What?
that.
So it's up to me now.
Come on,
You
Chance.
You got to
Change
change.
the vote.
You got to change, Chance.
Chance,
You're
what is the
afraid
best
to-
Hey,
Star Wars film in the
Wait,
franchise?
which one do you have to change yours the least? Just one word.
Come on,
One
Chance.
Hold on. I'm writing mine down.
Come on, Chance. Help me
Chance,
out, here, man. Help me out.
Oh, you didn't write for very long. That's not a good sign.
Help me out,
I'm
Chance.
still writing.
He said Step Up 3D is his choice.
Ooh.
Which I did not bring up my worst list. I forgot to do that.
I love
Yeah,
that.
this is
You're
hard.
To a certain extent.
This is really hard. But I'm good. Somebody's gonna assault me somewhere for this. Return of the King.
Yes!
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 Salvation.
This is a house of bullshit.
Return of the King goes down.
All
You're
right.
going
I'm
down.
hurting too, Robert. I'm
If
I don't
Going-
fucking believe this.
We can keep,
Hold on a
sorry.
minute. Let me think.
if
Let me
we
think.
keep going, we can get through the rest of this list.
Okay. All right. I got it. We're going with number 3, right? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. I got it. It's not
The
what
fact
you
that you all
think.
think Return of the Jedi is better than Return of the King is astounding to me, by the
Yeah,
way.
that's
A
ridiculous.
Jedi-
That
a Jedi
is
better-
ridiculous.
A Jedi is
I
better
love-
than a king.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, I was
I
thinking.
love
like,
Return of the Jedi. It's not
I will
better
take
than
a
Return-
Jedi Knight over someone from whatever kingdom of Middle Earth any day of the week.
all right.
It's just
Robert,
better
I
you
than
love
wanna-
Return of the King. I love Return of the Jedi, but Return of the King is a superior film.
better film.
Oh.
Robert,
Debatable.
show your hand.
I'm the elf to Robert's Hobbit right now.
Yeah.
Robert,
That is
The elf of the
ridiculous.
Hobbit.
Robert,
Toy
Who's
Story
going
3.
first?
Toy Story 3.
you, Robert.
Toy
Yeah,
Story
that's what I
3.
Ah.
I just want to get you out of the way.
Who's next? I can't hear you.
Paul,
Is it me?
Paul.
Return of the Jedi.
What? What?
It deserved to be number
Let's go to Jeremy.
Toy Story 3.
Yep.
And let's go to fucking Ryan.
Yep. I said Toy Story 3.
Ah,
So that's it. That settles it. I had Return of the Jedi, but doesn't matter what I say. Toy Story 3 makes number 3.
Woohoo! Woohoo!
I think
Right.
I know what
Yeah.
our number 1 is.
I can't believe this is going to be number 1.
Really happy.
Gentlemen, if you will
Barely
write
made the
down what
list.
you think deserves to the number. You write down what you think is the number one on the list.
Number one. Okay.
Oh, number one.
Right.
Yep.
We're going.
Number one.
We have to write down what we think should be number one. Okay.
Yes.
It's very rare that my number one becomes the number one.
Ooh, is that so, Jeremy? Is that so?
It will. Yes.
Oh, will it, Robert?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it might not. We might have a stalemate. I don't know.
We might have
We'll
a
see.
surprise ending here for our fans who are watching this.
Can I do a repeat? Can I do Return of the King again at number 2?
No,
Too late for that.
you fool!
Robert's already
You
exploded.
can't. Yeah, Robert's already had his temper
All right.
tantrum 3
You
times.
broken. Don't call it a temper tantrum. You broke your Hobbit.
No. He's already broken. So, yeah, the Hobbit's already broken. You can't do
Temper
anything else.
tantrum.
All right, I'm gonna go first. I said Last Crusade.
Oh.
I'm going.
Wait.
Ryan.
You're voting for your number one.
Oh,
My number
yes.
one. Number one.
I totally
Oh,
messed this up. Yikes.
Okay, what I think should be number one is actually a surprise to you. I went ahead and said Return of the Jedi.
Not a surprise.
Robert.
No, it's not.
Robert.
Last Crusade.
Last Crusade.
Last Crusade.
Are
Paul.
you serious?
Yes.
Oh,
Paul.
If you're not first, you're Last Crusade.
And that settles it. But Jeremy, I know what you said.
are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
It is a better movie than
Right.
Return of the Jedi. I love it. It's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Okay, Robert,
Last
that's
Crusade
hard
is
to
better.
argue. That
For
is
some
very
reason,
hard
I
to
thought
argue.
Prisoner of Azkaban was still on the board, and I had that written.
Okay.
Hold
No,
on.
no.
I'm not mad.
Go over
I'm not
this.
mad.
Go over this one more time. Go over this one more time. So, number 5, we have Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Number 4, Return of the King, much to Robert's dismay. Number 3, Toy Story 3, also much to Robert's dismay. Number 2, Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, and the number 1 third installment of a movie franchise of all time, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Thank God it got violent at the end because we were being far too civil for this conversation.
The penitent man
All
shall
right.
pass, and Last Crusade shall be number one.
Hmm.
Absolutely. All right.
Congratulations.
So for
Congratulations.
all you guys watching, thank you for joining us for this very chaotic, very heated towards the end episode. I promised you a heated episode, and I think we delivered, if I do say so
Great.
myself. That's Ryan. That's Robert. That's Paul. And that is Jeremy Adams. I'm your host, Shannon Type Nelson, and we will see you next week for another episode of Full Metal 5, which I'm not going to spoil the topic right now, but it's going to be a good one. I promise you that.
Oh, yeah.
Until then, thank you for watching, and we will see you next time.